What's up guys, it's Tommy here and welcome to a very important video where we will talk about Saudi Arabia potentially striking a huge deal with FSG, taking over Liverpool FC, and they could even sell Newcastle United to make that happen because no owner can have more than a 30% controlling stake in two football clubs in the same league. But Miguel Delaney and various other English journalists are reporting that Saudi Arabia is determined to strike a huge deal with FSG, and Liverpool are still in the conversation within Saudi Arabia as the country looks to expand its football reach, because Saudi Arabia has set out very ambitious plans for the next 10 to 15 years as they look to continue their investment into football, and the World Cup is being hosted in Saudi Arabia in 2034. So Saudi Arabia has huge plans to make the tournament a huge success, and of course the Saudi Pro League continues to grow. They invested huge money in that and they are signing so many big players. But it's not just on the domestic front where Saudi Arabia wants to expand. They are still eyeing a huge Liverpool deal with FSG, and FSG are in the process of talking with Saudi Arabia and with the Public Investment Fund of Saudi Arabia, PIF, who are the owners of Newcastle, over other investments as well. FSG were reportedly open to investment into the club from other parties, and we all know FSG sold a minority stake of Liverpool to Dynasty Equity, an American investment fund. And the independent newspaper in England is reporting that there are whispers and rumors going on behind the scenes that PIF are determined to invest in a bigger club than Newcastle United. I'm not sure how Newcastle fans feel about that, but the site claims that Liverpool and Chelsea as well as Barcelona could be on PIF's radar. So could FSG sell Liverpool? My personal opinion, if a high enough offer arrives, so £4.5 billion, they could sell, because these guys are all about the money. They are not about the morals or ethics of the football club. They are all about the money. They bought Liverpool for £300 million, and they could 15 times get their money back. So they could get 15x on their investment, which in the business world is a tremendous deal. And another website, Liverpool.com, and James Finlander, who is a content editor there, is reporting that Liverpool are involved in Saudi takeover rumors after FSG talks and Newcastle issues. And of course, we know that questions are being asked about the Newcastle ownership by PIF after WhatsApp messages suggested that Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman controlled the Newcastle takeover, something that all football fans suspected. But after these WhatsApp messages, there were actual evidence in the public domain about this. Amanda Stavely, who fronted the deal and became a minority co-owner and club director before selling her shares in July, so he left Newcastle. Now it has come out that these WhatsApp messages between Amanda Stavely and other parties, it shows that the Saudi Crown Prince was directly involved in the deal. And other clubs' executives are now seeking more answers from the Premier League. The Premier League is silent on the matter so far, but other clubs are angry that the takeover was allowed to go through in the first place. And what is interesting is that Richard Masters, the Premier League chief executive, has said that if we find any evidence that there wasn't a corporate difference between PIF and the Saudi state, then we can remove the PIF as owners of Newcastle United. So there could even be a scenario where Newcastle aren't sold by PIF, but the Premier League forces them to sell Newcastle, which would be a very interesting development, because then they would be able to buy Liverpool, but the same questions would arise in that deal as well. And the independent newspapers, Miguel Delaney is saying that there are rumors about, Newcastle owners, PIF, eyeing a bigger club like Liverpool to be owned. And Barcelona are also touted as a possibility because they have huge financial issues. So maybe Barcelona could be available on a lot cheaper price than normally if they were in a very healthy financial position. And there is a football expert who claims that PIF would sell Newcastle for one reason amid the Liverpool takeover rumors. Wyness, the former president of Everton, has said that PIF would have to sell Newcastle if they were to come in at Liverpool and buy Liverpool, but we are a long way from seeing how that would play out. At the moment, there's lots of rumors that I'm hearing because they've got lots of money, and when you have money, all these rumors fly. You are either taking over golf, as they are doing with Live Golf, or taking over football and other kinds of sports. You have to understand, Saudis are more fiscally responsible. They are more stringent in how they control finances. Then there is kind of a traditional investment logic in that if you spend £1, you want £2 back. The smash and grab mentality at PSG or Manchester City is absolutely not the case at Newcastle. Just look at the considered development of the commercial team. The people they have brought in are experts with strong background in the areas they have been appointed in. It's obvious to me that Saudi Arabia acquired an investment asset, not a vanity project, like maybe is the case with Qatar owning PSG or the United Arab Emirates owning Manchester City. I've said for a while now that if there ever comes a point where they need to sell Newcastle, they will sell it. And I think that's very interesting. Would you want Liverpool to be owned by Saudi Arabia? Would you want, part ownership? Would you want just investment into Liverpool? I'm in the latter camp, by the way. My opinion is no club should be state-owned, so I would ban actually state ownership in all of football because it just feels wrong and it has massive repercussions beyond football and into politics and everything else. I think a part ownership would be okay. So if Saudi Arabia came in and bought like 20% of Liverpool or 30% of Liverpool, and they maybe got a place on the Liverpool board as part of the decision-making team, I wouldn't have too much of a problem with that. But the full state ownership, I'm against it. But that's just my opinion. I want to hear your opinion. Let me know in the comments below. And what's very interesting is that articles in America are claiming that when FSG have been locked in with talks with the Saudi Arabian Public Investment Fund over the last few months now, Donald Trump has been tipped to get things over the line. Because, golf is a major one. Live Golf set up as a rival to the PGA Tour, and they are very rich. They are paying huge money to golfers, taking them away from the PGA Tour, and now Live Golf and the PGA Tour want to merge potentially, and that's where the discussions have been taking place. But the USA are very picky when it comes to dealings with Saudi Arabia. They are when it comes to investment in sport, because of course they are less picky in certain other areas. But the reason is simple. The PIF, the Public Investment Fund, is essentially the ruling entity of Saudi Arabia, and this would be another country buying control over an iconic American enterprise like golf. And as a result, it's been difficult to find a way for any investment by the PIF to get signed off on legally at the United States of America. So what's this got to do with Liverpool? Well, FSG own a chunk of the PGA Tour, and having led a group that pumped in $3 billion of investment earlier this year, and now John Henry is in the group negotiating with the PIF. He has seen the standstill at first hand, but recent events in the USA could fix things because golfer Rory McIlroy believes that Donald Trump is here to rescue proceedings. He has pointed out a great relationship between Trump and the Saudis, feeling that it should help things get over the line. He might be able to get the deal done, said McIlroy. He has got Elon Musk, who I think is the smartest man in the world beside him. We might be able to do something if we can get Elon Musk involved too. I think from the outside looking in, it's probably a little less complicated than it actually is. But obviously Trump has a great relationship with Saudi Arabia. He has got a great relationship with golf. He's a lover of golf, so maybe, who knows. But I think as the president of the United States again, he has probably got bigger things to focus on than golf. Some questionable statements, of course, to say the least, but maybe McIlroy is onto something. But if we genuinely believes Musk is the smartest man in the world, we will assume he's not massively clued into the whole thing. But FSG are certainly involved in some enormous dealings right now, and Liverpool's owners that will ultimately affect Liverpool in some way as Liverpool owners. So even if it's just establishing their power in global sport. And just to put it into context, how absolutely mind-blowingly rich. PIF is the Saudi Arabian investment fund. They are managing assets worth in total of almost 700 billion pounds. So that's 700,000 million pounds. Liverpool are worth around 4.5 billion pounds, and they have 700 billion. With their total assets, if they sold everything else, they could buy the whole Premier League. Every single club in the Premier League, they could buy it with their money. That just blows my mind, because the Premier League is the richest league in the world. They have the clubs with the most value. If you total up all the clubs' values in the Premier League, I think it's the league worth the most money, and this just absolutely blows my mind how much money PIF has. And the main reason why they are doing all this investment is that these investments aren't tied to or dependent on oil, because they know that we must shift away from fossil fuels, and this is a way for them to invest into all kinds of other ventures. So one day they are not relying on just oil, and they can get money from other investments as well and all other sources as well. So the big question is, would FSG consider selling Liverpool? In the 2022-23 season, FSG seriously considered a full sale of the club, but this website says they can't see John Henry having a second crack at it so soon, because FSG have made it crystal clear they intend to remain custodians of Liverpool for the foreseeable future. Given that we have been largely well run according to a policy of sustainability, we are not necessarily in a rush to welcome a change of ownership. We would also have several serious doubts about Saudi investment, with good reason, given the rampant human rights issues present in the region. But that's of course another topic that I don't want to go into too much into detail, because this video is long enough. Anyway, and now let's talk about Mo Salah. He is the first player in Europe to get to 10 goals and 10 assists, so to double figures in both goals and assists. And this is, I think, the statistic that blew my mind at least the most. So he got at least 10 goals and 10 assists in 7 of his 8 seasons at Liverpool. Only in the 2021 season, Mo Salah got less than 10 assists. And as you can see, on average, he's getting around 30 goals a season. But what is remarkable is in the last 4 seasons, he's averaging at least 15 assists per season. And this season, he's on course to get 20 or 25 assists. 25 to be exact. We are maybe a little bit further into the season than maybe halfway, 1/3 of the season. No, we are not actually into 1/3 of the season. So if Salah keeps his numbers up, he could get to 30 goals and 30 assists easy, and maybe even more than that, if he keeps scoring and assisting at this rate, which of course he will probably slow down a little bit, but still, the way this guy has been so consistent, he is an absolute legend. And sign him up to a new contract, please, Liverpool. Don't make me having to rant about Salah leaving Liverpool, because I mean, if he leaves Liverpool as a Premier League champion again, winning the Premier League twice, maybe that's a legacy that he would want to leave behind. But I think Salah still has plenty to give, and it would be a huge shame and a huge loss for Liverpool if we lost Salah at the end of this season, because he is still absolutely world class, and he's now matching the numbers of Thierry Henry. Thierry Henry at Arsenal had 228 goals and 98 assists. Now Salah has 221 goals and 99 assists. So Thierry Henry had 98 assists, and Henry played 377 games. Salah has 366 games now for Liverpool. Similar numbers, and Thierry Henry is considered to be one of the best, if not the best, Premier League player of all time. So Salah is certainly up there in the top 5 best Premier League players of all time, in my opinion. Let me know what is your opinion in the comments below, because football is all about opinions. And thanks for watching, guys. Hope you enjoyed this. Have a nice day. See you later. Goodbye.